So today, I was driving to town and I passed where they have rodeos, and I've often been to those rodeos and watched the horse races, and all that, and I really enjoy them. And God brought it to my mind. I instantly thought, what happens when a horse, and a lot of times, I mean, it can happen, they can get injured, if they break a leg or something. What happens to a horse? I was asking God that. I said, what happens to one? Do they lay down and give up, or do they persevere and become strong, and you know uh, they get better? Because I've heard of too many times of horses breaking legs and whatnot, and their owners have to put them down, and it's a very sad situation, especially when somebody's so close to a horse and they have it trained, and that's their horse that they ride, and all of this, they become close to that horse. So I was asking God about it, and I looked it up and referenced it, and I see where, okay, so when they get a broke leg, their instincts are to basically run. And because their instinct is because they're injured, they feel like they have become prey to the predator, so they want to run and hide and get away, and they can't very well lay down, because when they do, it does something to their lungs, because they're such a heavy animal, and it causes more damage than it does good. So they try to stand on 3 legs instead and try to get off of that one leg, but eventually that can cause the hooves to become inflamed, and that bone, and I don't know, muscle, bone, whatever, separate from that hoof, and it can cause inflammation and infection and all that, and they can eventually, die from it. So I'm thinking, that's sad that would happen. Of course, they do have, veterinarians can actually put plates in there and do surgery and whatnot, but if they do that, it seems like the horse is never going to be the same, because it was injured accidentally, and there, with all of its power and its strength, it became injured, and it can't do the same things that it used to do anymore. And then I thought too, well, there's horses like that they places adopt these horses to help. They'll have like traumatized kids or people with disabilities or whatever to come in, and these horses actually become friends. Even though they're a horse, they become friends with a human, somebody with disabilities or whatever, and they can actually help people. And then my thought went to another thing where, it talks about the strength of the horse, that people rely in that strength in that horse, and they become to think that that the horse is always going to be strong. And it makes me think of Pharaoh, when Moses, God sent Moses to Pharaoh to free the people, free Moses's people, basically, because it's, he was born into that tribe, but his mom hid him in the river, and Moses's daughter found him in the little basket and asked Pharaoh to adopt him, and she did, and she mothered him, but she even found Moses's mother, and she even nursed him and everything. But so Moses grew up in Pharaoh's home, but later on God used him to talk to Pharaoh because he said, let my people go, because they were being used, tormented, they were being beaten, taken advantage of. Pharaoh wasn't the best to these people. So, God had Moses to give Pharaoh warning after warning to leave his people alone and let them go. And Pharaoh was stubborn. He was the leader of all these people, and he had this great army, an army of men, and the chariots and the horses. He had strong horses and good chariots, and so he was proud, basically. He didn't, he wasn't going to agree to let the people go. And God sent 7 different times, I think it was 7 plagues, 5 or 7, but I think it's 7, the frogs and all the other stuff that God sent. So finally, plague after plague after plague, warning after warning after warning, God said, leave my people alone and let them go. He wouldn't do it. So finally, God got his people. Moses got the people out of there, and he did agree there at the very last to finally let them go because of especially the last plague. So Moses immediately got the people out and was leading them through, that was where they were led through to the promised land and all this. Well, so after Pharaoh let them go, I guess he got to thinking about it, and he's like, I don't want to let them go. I'm too powerful. I guess he enjoyed enslaving them and treating them that way. And so he started after them after he had already said that they could go, which they were ahead of him somewhat. But God sent fire, I think it was fire by night and a cloud by day, or it may be the other way around, to protect the people, to hide them from Pharaoh finding them. So eventually Pharaoh, he got his army. He had the best army, and I'm sure people around Egypt were in fear of Pharaoh's army because he had such strong horses and chariots and men, and he had a huge military. So all of them, they got together, his military, and they went after them. And I could see them rushing across the desert in their chariots and their strong horses, just, as fast as they could go. And they eventually caught up with the Israelites, and they had come to the Red Sea. So they were looking at the Red Sea and thinking, oh no, what do we do now? We're going to have to go back, and we're caught. They won. But no, God had Moses. Through Moses, God used him to part the Red Sea, and so the sea opened up, and as it opened up, the people started walking through, and they were walking through and going to the other side. So I guess my thinking is they got all halfway through, or a little bit more than halfway, to the other side, and here come Pharaoh's army, and so they started through the parting of the Red Sea also, because they were coming after them. And so God began to, the way I think, because all of Pharaoh's army and horses and chariots got swallowed up in the Red Sea. So I guess God allowed the whole army to get into the Red Sea, every single one of them. So the people, there had to have been Israelites that were already on the other side, and there were still some left. But as Pharaoh's army got into the Red Sea, that Red Sea started closing up. So I'm figuring from the very beginning of the end of the line of Pharaoh's strong army was where the water started closing up, and it closed up, it swallowed, it just closed them up and come up over them, and it drowned every one of them in the Red Sea. And they say today that there's evidence, there's chariot wheels and bones and stuff that they found in the Red Sea to show that it was true. So Pharaoh and his army, his people were warned time after time, and God sent plagues to them. God sent things to them to try to make them realize that he meant business, and they didn't listen. They were stubborn, and they thought that their strength in their mighty group that they had, and their horses, their strong horses with them, they thought that they had it made, and that they were stronger than the Israelites, and that they could get them back, and that they could keep torturing them and doing what they wanted to do to them, and God wanted them free. And they just didn't believe that anything bad would happen to them. They were determined, and they knew in their mind that they were going to go get those Israelites back and put them back in there and abuse them again and treat them wrong. That's what they had on their mind. But after God warned them over and over, and they finally, the last time they went after them, after they freed them, and they went after them again, they were swallowed up by the Red Sea, and they died. So I'm thinking today, when God tells someone, a group, say there's a group of people or whatever, one person, whatever, and when God tells us to let a person go and to leave them alone, and to quit abusing them or whatever, when God warns us, and when he sends warning after warning, and we ignore, and those bad things that happen to people because they're doing bad things to other people, and they don't listen, and they think, oh, we're stronger than that. We have a strong army. We've got a strong circle. Nothing can bother our circle. Nothing can bring our circle down. We've got those strong horses. Those horses are fine. They're strong. There's nothing going to happen. People better think again, because when God is, when God says something, he means it. And if we don't listen, eventually, God is a merciful God, and he will give us chance after chance to obey what he wants us to do. But when we don't obey, and we keep on and on and on, ignoring what he is trying to get across to us, eventually something bad is going to happen, and he's going to stop us from doing bad things to other people. And so a strength in a horse, sometimes that horse's strength can fail, and that horse is never the same again. And sometimes that horse has to be put down, or that horse dies. And it's not it's not a what's the word I want to use? If it's our horse, it's an unhappy time. It's terrible to us, but God sometimes has to do that to get our attention, and to get us to do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Treat everybody with respect and love them. It doesn't matter if they've done something to you or whatever, and they don't apologize. You gotta forgive. You have to forgive no matter what, or you're not gonna make it in. And or if you just don't like a person, you've got to treat them right, because God is not going to allow us to constantly mistreat other people. So that's my, what do you say, my, today, my debate, I guess, or whatever, of today, of my thoughts on the horses and what I got from it from God. So